The warm glow of the quaint café, Misty Mornings, offered a comforting haven from the bustling streets of Millfield. Inside, the scent of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air, mingling with the sweet aroma of pastries. Soft indie music played in the background as regulars settled into their favorite corners, some absorbed in books, others chatting amicably. Among them was Jenna, the cafe's owner, who poured lattes with the precision of an artist, always sporting a warm smile that felt like home. But that morning, an unusual chill drifted through the cafe, heralded by the creak of the door as it swung open. In walked a stranger, drenched from the rain, his clothes tattered and smeared with something dark and sticky. The moment he stepped inside, the warm ambiance shifted, a palpable tension replaced the cheerful chatter. Jenna glanced up, her smile faltering as she took in the stranger's sunken eyes and disheveled hair. "Can I help you?" she asked, trying to mask her unease. "Coffee," he croaked, his voice raspy as if he hadn't spoken in days. He staggered to the counter, and Jenna quickly poured a steaming cup, glancing at the customers who now regarded the newcomer with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. As the man took the cup, his fingers brushed against Jenna's, cold and clammy. A chill ran down her spine. He brought the cup to his lips but paused, his eyes darting around the room as if searching for something. Suddenly, he let out a guttural moan that echoed through the cafe. "What's wrong?" Jenna asked, her heart racing. The cafe fell silent as everyone turned to watch. In one swift motion, the stranger threw the cup to the floor, the ceramic shattering, and a thick black liquid pooled at his feet. With a snarl, he lunged toward the nearest patron, a college student named Mike, who was busy scrolling on his phone. Before anyone could react, the stranger sank his teeth into Mike's neck. A scream pierced the air as the cafe erupted into chaos. Customers scrambled, chairs toppled over, and Jenna felt her breath catch in her throat. She instinctively reached for the coffee machine, ready to throw hot liquid at the assailant, but her hands trembled. "Run!" shouted a woman near the door, but it was too late. One by one, the patrons began to turn on each other, their eyes glazing over with an otherworldly hunger. The once cozy cafe transformed into a nightmare, filled with screams and desperate attempts to escape. Jenna ducked behind the counter, her heart pounding in her chest as she watched her regulars succumb to the frenzy. The cafe, which had always felt like a refuge, was now a prison. The door was blocked and the windows were sealed with terror. In mere minutes, the infected had multiplied, turning the sanctuary into a battleground of flesh and chaos. Jenna spotted a few survivors huddled near the back, an elderly man named Harold, a young couple, Sarah and Tim, and a quiet artist, Lucy, who had been sketching in the corner. They exchanged panicked glances, knowing that they had to stick together if they were to survive this horror. "We need to barricade the doors," Jenna urged, her voice shaking. "They can't get in." "Good idea," Tim replied, glancing nervously at the door as it rattled with the weight of the infected. Together, they moved tables and chairs to block the entrance, breathing heavily as the sounds of gnashing teeth and moans echoed around them. Are they really dead?" Sarah whispered, tears in her eyes as she pointed to Mike, who was now feasting on another customer. "No," Jenna replied, dread pooling in her stomach. "They're not dead. They're changed. We need to find a way out." Lucy, still clutching her sketchbook, stared wide-eyed at the chaos. "What about the windows?" she suggested. "If we can break one and get out—" "No," Harold interrupted. "That'll only attract more of them. We need to stay quiet and think." As the infected pounded against the barricade, their moans becoming a chilling symphony, the survivors gathered in a tight circle. The cafe, once a place of warmth, was now filled with the scent of fear and despair. Minutes felt like hours as they waited for the right moment. Jenna felt a growing sense of dread. What if help didn't come? What if they were trapped forever? The world outside had fallen silent, leaving only the horrifying cacophony of the undead. "Maybe we can signal for help?" Tim suggested, glancing at the ceiling where a small skylight had been overlooked in their panic. "Great idea," Jenna exclaimed, her heart racing at the thought of escape. "If we can break it, we can yell for help or wave something to catch attention." They moved quickly, shoving a table under the skylight. With Tim's strength, he climbed atop it and grabbed a chair, ready to smash the glass. But just as he was about to strike, the door buckled under the weight of the infected. "Hold it," Jenna shouted, fear lacing her voice. "We have to be quick." With a mighty swing, Tim shattered the skylight, the sound echoing above the din. Glass shards rained down like confetti, but it didn't matter. They had made a break for freedom. Tim waved his arms, yelling for help as Jenna, Sarah, Harold, and Lucy crowded beneath him, peering out into the gray, rain-soaked sky. But the moment was fleeting. The infected, drawn by the noise, began to breach the barricade, clawing and biting at the wooden tables that held them back. "We have to go now," Lucy screamed, her voice high with panic. "On three," Jenna said, her heart pounding. 1, 2. Before she could finish, the door splintered and a flood of the infected surged into the café. Chaos erupted once more as they fought against the tide, but they couldn't afford to lose hope. They were still alive. In a burst of adrenaline, Jenna grabbed a chair and swung it at the nearest zombie, catching it square in the face. The creature stumbled back, momentarily stunned. "Get to the back," she shouted, pushing the others toward the small kitchen. With Tim leading the way, they dashed through the narrow passage, the stench of sweat and decay growing stronger. They reached the back door, but it was locked. Panic surged as they pounded against it, shouting for help, but all they could hear were the growls of the infected drawing nearer. "Find something to break it down," Sarah urged, frantically searching for anything they could use. As Tim tore through the kitchen, he spotted a heavy metal frying pan and gripped it tightly. With all his strength, he swung it at the door, the metal clanging against the wood. Each strike brought them closer to freedom, but the relentless moans grew louder. Finally, with one last powerful swing, the door cracked open just enough for them to squeeze through. They burst into the alley behind the café, the rain pouring down, washing away the horrors inside. "Where do we go?" Lucy asked, looking around desperately. "Follow me," Jenna said, taking the lead. "We need to get to the main street. There might be help there." As they dashed down the alley, the sounds of the café faded behind them, but the fear still gripped their hearts. The world outside was eerily quiet, the only sound being the relentless rain and their heavy breathing. As they emerged onto the main street, the sight before them froze them in their tracks. The city was in chaos. Cars were overturned, and remnants of the frantic populace lay scattered. The air was thick with an unsettling silence, punctuated only by the occasional groan of the infected that roamed the streets. "Where is everyone?" Sarah gasped, glancing around frantically. "There has to be a safe place," Jenna urged, trying to rally their spirits. "We can't give up now." They hurried along the sidewalk, moving as quietly as possible. But as they rounded a corner, they were met with a group of zombies stumbling toward them, their movements erratic and slow. "Back! Back!" Tim hissed, but it was too late. The survivors were cornered. Jenna's heart raced as she looked around for an escape route. "We need to fight. We can't let them take us." They positioned themselves against the wall, preparing to defend against the horde. With the frying pan in hand, Tim swung it with fierce determination, knocking down the first zombie that reached them. "Get ready," Jenna shouted as they faced the oncoming tide. They fought bravely, using whatever they could find as weapons. It was a desperate struggle for survival, each moment stretching into eternity. But as they fought, a sudden blare of sirens filled the air, cutting through the chaos. The survivors turned, their hearts leaping with hope. "Over there!" Harold shouted, pointing to a convoy of armed vehicles that sped toward them. With renewed energy, they pressed forward, fighting their way through the throngs of infected. The sound of gunfire erupted as the military arrived, cutting down the zombies with precision. "Get to the vehicles," a soldier shouted, waving them over. Jenna, Tim, Sarah, Lucy, and Harold ran with everything they had, pushing past the grasping hands of the undead. They dove into the safety of the convoy just as the soldiers secured the area. As the vehicles sped away from the nightmare that had once been their café, Jenna took a deep breath, allowing the weight of what they had endured to wash over her. "Misty Mornings," she whispered, glancing back at the café disappearing in the distance. It was supposed to be a place of comfort. "But we survived," Tim replied, his voice steady. "We have each other, and we'll find a way to make it through this." The convoy roared down the road, the survivors leaning against each other, their hearts beating in unison as they forged a new path in a world forever changed. The horrors they faced were behind them, but they would carry the echoes of their experience, a bond forged in survival, and a determination to keep moving forward, together.